Welcome to Open Door Yoga. My name is Michelle, and today's class is focused on downward facing dog. The easiest way to come into downward facing dog is through hands and knees. So let's make our way onto the mat with wrists under elbows, elbows under shoulders, and knees under hip points. Your hands are going to be about shoulder distance apart. Tuck your toes and begin to spread your fingers wide. Ground down evenly through both of your palms and through all 10 knuckles. Then begin to shift your hips up and back, straightening into your legs. Typically, if it's the first downward facing dog of your practice, or if your body is feeling a little stiff or sore, it might feel good to pedal out your feet. To do this, bend into one knee while lifting that same heel off the mat. Then straighten into that leg and ground that heel down into the earth while pedaling into the opposite leg. The focus of downward facing dog is axial extension, or creating a long, straight spine. So as you find stillness, it might mean that you have a slight bend in your knees or that your heels are lifted. If it's available in your body, imagine pressing the center of your heels down towards the ground. Now let's talk about some of the core actions of downward facing dog. The tendency for a lot of people is to grip into their hip flexors to lift their hips. Instead, challenge yourself to use your core strength. Think about sending your belly button up and below your low ribs. Using your core strength allows you to lengthen through your spine without adding any unnecessary tension into your hip joints. Once you feel that engagement in your core and that nice long spine, make some final adjustments. Draw your shoulder blades down and in along your back body to create some space between your ears and shoulders. Notice that your ears are in line with your arms and that your gaze is down at the mat. Now let's get into some modifications. Here are 5 strategies to help this posture feel more settled in your body. Number 1, transition from cow pose. If you're having a hard time finding that long spine in downward facing dog, try transitioning first from cow pose. In cow pose, your tailbone is lifted and your belly is dropping down towards the mat. If you start to press your hips up and back from here, it will help you keep your tailbone lifted, and you should start to feel length in your spine more naturally. Number 2, use a lift under your heels. If, like me, you experience some tightness in your back body, maybe your heels are lifted in downward facing dog. Feel free to grab a lift, like a folded blanket or a folded towel, and place it under your heels. This will allow you to ground down through your heels while still accommodating tight hamstrings or lower back muscles. Number 3, use blocks to release shoulder tension. It's easy to hold tension in your shoulders in downward facing dog. You can use blocks against a wall to help. Place your thumb and index fingers in an L position at the corners of the blocks and then send your hips up and back into the posture. This may help release some of that tension in your shoulders by helping to get your body in better alignment. Number 4, add length to your arms. If it feels uncomfortable for you to get into downward facing dog, consider bringing your hands onto a raised surface, like blocks. This will change the proportions of your body by giving more length to your arms, which may make the alignment feel more natural. This option also encourages you to hold more weight into your legs, which is good because downward facing dog is a standing posture. We want to ground down through our heels, not just dump all of our weight into our shoulders and wrists. Number 5, try variations to reduce wrist pain. Speaking of our wrists, many people experience wrist pain during downward facing dog. If you are still experiencing wrist pain after practicing the first few strategies, or if you have chronic pain or arthritis in your wrists, consider trying a variation. Maybe rest the heels of your hands on a chair, a tabletop, or counter. Then slowly walk your feet back until they're under your hips. This is also a great variation for anyone who wants to practice feeling that length in their spine. Then you can use that muscle memory when you're down practicing on the mat. I hope these suggestions help you find the best variation of downward facing dog for your body so that you can better access the benefits that this posture can provide. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.